What is going on, YouTube? PPS back here, rolling with my boy Monotone. We back. Like I said, 48 hours coming off another profitable NBA slate for us. How you doing, Monotone? How was yesterday? I know I haven't talked to you, only 24 hours, but how you been?
Yes. Yeah, no, I'm doing good. I'm trying to get this tweet out. I messed it up the first time. So got that out, letting everyone know we're live right now. It's probably the most excited I've been for a week in a while. So yeah, I got everything out. I'm excited, man. I'm real excited. I think we're gonna get some winners here. We're gonna keep building on that NBA momentum. I'm feeling good.
Yes, it should be great games. A lot of close spreads, a couple big ones. But there's really nothing better than NFL playoff football. Wildcard weekend is probably my favorite just because, everybody's got their chance, right? Everybody's got chance to make something happen here in the wild card round. Like I said, unfortunately, I will not be seeing my Packers this week. But hey, I'll take it. I'll take the free ride to the next round, and I'm hoping that we don't have to deal with the Niners here. I'm really hoping that they don't make it through, because that would be the toughest game personally for the Packers to win. If I was a betting man, that would be my least favorite spot for the Packers this week.
Yeah, no, for fan reasons, but for football reasons, that would be a pretty good game, man.
That would be great. Yeah,
I'd be hyped to see that one for sure.
All right, let me get my tweet out here, and then we will get this rolling. I think should have a decent amount of people in here. We already got 20-some people over on YouTube. I haven't checked out the Twitter one. I know the new Twitter Live is an interesting platform. Obviously, can't ask questions or anything, but we've been rolling over there. So hopefully, we're getting some people over there as well. So let's get this out. And we are good to go. Let's check who's all in here. What is up, Jason? You beat us to it. You were here before we were even ready. Yeah. So glad that you're in the chat here. Jason S is here. What's up, fellas? Not too much. It's a fun little Friday. Yeah, it's gonna be a good round here. We got 6 games. I'm excited. I'll probably be drinking more than I should this next weekend. But hey, nothing better than football here, especially some afternoon, early games, even night games. That Sunday slate's going to be nice. Obviously, have the Rams still on Monday Night Football too, so should be pretty good. Should be a pretty good round of games.
Oh yeah, they got us covered all weekend, Saturday to Monday, baby, just the way we like it.
Perfect. Well, we might as well get started. Gave people about 3.5 minutes. We're getting up into the 20s on YouTube for people on here. Now, let's get it started. We're going to just go down in order of all games, drop our plays at the end or kind of in the middle of our talking here. Love it. Jason, that's exactly what I want to hear. Beers and wings. Cannot complain. My girlfriend's going back to her family's house back home, so I'm going to have the house to myself. That sounds like 9 straight hours of football, and I don't have to hear that I'm watching too much. So that's a perfect combo. DeJounte vibes early. Let's go. Let's do it. And we'll go right in. That'll be a great segue to our first play, which we're going to start out with the first game, which is Raiders at Bengals. Monotone, what is your thoughts on this one? And do you have any action here?
Yeah, so this is a great game, right? So I got on that Raiders early number that came out in the week. Just a PSA before we get any further into these games. Right now, what we're looking at is pretty much about as sharp as these numbers are going to be on the totals and the spreads, right? We kind of know Vegas figures it out. So if you want to bet on these games and you want to get these numbers before they're sharp, make sure you're paying attention Monday, when these new lines, even Sunday night possibly, when some of these lines for next week come out. That way you'll be able to get some of the best possible lines. I got a nice one with the Raiders earlier in the week, and I got a nice one with the Buccaneers. But no matter what, even at these numbers right now, you and me briefly spoke about it before we got on here. I was super hyped up to hear. I love the Raiders this week. Absolutely love the Raiders. There's a couple things going around. People keep posting that stat about Derek Carr in cold weather games and, they're on shorter rest. there are so many reasons why I love this game, but we're going to start out with just in general. I think something is finally going to catch up to the Bengals. And you guys know, if you've been watching, I haven't been super high on them all year, but it's that offensive line I think is finally going to catch up to them. They drafted Jamar Chase, which in hindsight probably might have been the right decision. Jamar Chase is absolutely amazing, but Joe Burrow is still in danger up with that offensive line right now. And as we know, Max Crosby is the leader of that Raiders defense. They've been very good this year. He leads the league in quarterback pressures already. And something that's very interesting to know is the Bengals have been great against the blitz this year. Teams that blitz them, you know what that means. There's less guys back in coverage. Jamar Chase, Higgins, Boyd, these wide receivers absolutely go crazy in that man-to-man coverage. But the Raiders do not blitz. Max Crosby leads the league in pressures for a reason. They only send 4. They don't need that extra help. So what that means is that secondary looks a lot better than they may actually be on paper because they have so many guys committed to coverage. I think Burrow is going to struggle with that. I think they are going to get some pressure on him. I think the Raiders not only cover the spread, I think they win this one outright.
Yeah, it was very nice to hear that you were on it too. Literally the first thing I said to Monotone when we popped down here around 150, I'm like, everybody's on the Niners, and I get that. I love it. But, man, you're going to give me 6 points on the Raiders. I will hammer that. I will I will teaser hammer that, and I'll moneyline hammer that. I that was my favorite one. Obviously, the public is all over the Bengals, which tell me this. If they would have lost to the Chiefs – in that crazy game, what do you think this line would have been? They would have been a 6. You know, everybody's hype. What have you done for me lately? Right? That's all it is. They beat Mahomes. Yeah, but Mahomes and them let off the gas. That was not the best performance there. They ran the Mike McCarthy offense in the second half. Mahomes had 40 yards in the second half. Like, that was not the Chiefs. That's not what they're going to look like in the playoffs. And now we're gonna have the Raiders here. And like I said, we're both on the Raiders pretty heavy here. And also, one thing I really like is I've been seeing that the weather's going to be pretty cold, but also possible rain. I think that also leans me even more towards the Raiders. Mixon obviously is going to have his day. I think Mixon has a good day. He crushed them in the first one, but they did have longer carries. Like, he did have like a 40-yard carry in there, so that did skew his yards per attempt. But what I really like here, and I will actually lead us off here, in plays. I'm going to be rolling with your guy here and Hunter Renfrow over 55.5 receiving yards. I just think this is a slap in the face to Renfrow here. I lean them to win, but if you watch the Raiders here, they love getting behind in games. They just love to do that. They get behind, but they are so tough to put away. In their first matchup, Carr only threw the ball 27 times, and Waller was his number one target, right? He had 120 yards. But only threw the ball 27 times. I think Waller had like 7 of those catches in that game. But now, obviously, Waller went out, and we've seen Renfrow really take the reins as that number one receiver on this team. Obviously, Waller might not even be at full strength yet. We haven't really seen him take over a game like he was at the beginning of the season here. And the Raiders have that Cinderella-type story, man. That game was insane. If it's Chargers-Bengals, who are you taking? I'm taking the Chargers every time if they play the Bengals. And you're going to tell me that the Raiders just beat – I mean, that was a great game. That was probably one of the best games I've ever watched. And now you're coming off that super high with that interim coach, everything that's happened bad with the Raiders this season, and they come here, literally a Cinderella-type story. And Renfrow, besides all the intangibles there, Renfrow is the number one ranked matchup advantage this week, according to Pro Football Focus, 97% matchup advantage. In last game against the Chargers, you saw Josh Jacobs get the ball 26 times in the carries there. But the Bengals did a very good job of bottling up Jacobs in that first game. And I think that's kind of what they're going to have to do here. If I'm the Bengals, I do want Derek Carr to have to take it over for them. And I really think that if it's going to come down to relying on Derek Carr's arm, Renfro's going to be the guy. Renfro's going to be that guy, especially if it's raining. I'll take those short intermediate routes. And whenever it's raining, everybody freaks out, everything, whatever. But if I'm seeing rain, that helps the offense to me more than the defense, because guess what? Offense knows where they're going. Defense doesn't. All it takes is one broken tackle from Renfrow. We've seen it against Dallas in that game. He does have the ability to break tackles and make stuff happen in space. So I'm going to roll with Renfro. This is going to be a one-unit play here just because I do think the Raiders win. I could see Josh Jacobs just getting the ball 35 times in this game. It could be very possible. I'm on the Raiders. I'm on Renfro. What is your thoughts? Obviously, you're more of a Renfro receptions guy. What do you think of the yards here?
Yeah, no, with the circumstances you did lay out, I feel like with how much you and me have talked about the weather this year, I feel like we need some sort of honorary degree, man. Because, like you said, everybody does freak out. It's the same story every time. And as we say every time, it hurts the defense just as much as it hurts the offense. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about the weather conditions at all in this game. As you know, I am a big fan of Hunter Renfro. He's done very well for everyone that has watched this show this year. And yeah, I see no reason why it doesn't stop. Really what we're looking to exploit right here is this Bengals defense. They play a lot of zone, and their safeties like to linger back and try to cut off that deep ball, which they actually have been pretty successful at doing this year. It's part of their success for sure. But what that really does open up is a lot of over the middle passes, a lot of short, quick receptions, especially if the Bengals defensive line is generating pressure this week. So yeah, it's interesting. Sorry, what are you going?
Well, no, the only thing I was going to say there is they have been doing pretty well with that. But with Vegas is one thing I was very surprised with, too, is they're 10th in the league in yards per play at over 5 yards per play, 5.7. And guess who's like 2 ahead of them? It's Cincinnati at 6. So in these types of games, when we have two teams that can get the explosive play, I like the overs on yards just because – we're going to have a lot more chances, right? We're going to have a lot more chances with the ball. Time of possession isn't going to get skewed too much, right? Because they're going to be getting 6 yards, 5 yards a pop instead of those teams that like to do the Jonathan Taylor type thing where they hold the ball for 15 minutes and just run the ball up the middle for 3 yards. This is that type of game where I think we actually see the ball get pushed down the field a little bit more or run more of those crossing routes where you start to see those defenders trailing and they have issues keeping up with them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, I actually like multiple pass targets on this team. I don't think it's going to be a Josh Jacobs kind of game, just to be clear. I think I think this team has gotten smarter after John Gruden left. So if John Gruden was coaching this game, I'd be very worried actually about the Raiders' game plan. I'd think they'd try really, really hard to establish the run. I don't necessarily think they're going to do that unless Carr is having a real dud game, which is technically possible, but I've seen enough from Carr recently where I'm not super worried. He does have a bit of a low floor sometimes, but his ceiling can get pretty high, and that's kind of what we look for in these playoff type of games. A guy I've been looking at who I don't have a play out on yet, but I really do think it's going to happen in some way or another by the end of the week is Zay Jones. With all that happened with Henry Ruggs during the season, with his departure from the team, obviously, that kind of worried me at first, especially that stat you said. How are they going to really take the top off defenses, right? How are they going to keep this kind of offensive style that they had before with Ruggs? Well, people have stepped up. It's kind of a next man up mentality, whether it's the coach or whether it's the wide receiver core. And we've seen two guys do it, Zay Jones and Bryan Edwards. And I think both of them are going to have pretty good games right here. But Carr has shown that he likes targeting Zay Jones. The guy has like 5 catches in, I believe, 5 straight games since all that has happened. So Zay Jones has really stepped up. His number is 4.5 right now in most sports books for receptions and in the low 40s for receiving yards. I'm definitely looking real closely at those, trying to figure out what the best route is, because I do think that Zay Jones is going to have a pretty good game against Cincinnati here.
Agree. He goes under the radar, man. He was good at Buffalo too before he was there. Obviously taking the spot here. I think he's a good receiver. Let's pop in on some questions. Tim Sherman, thank you for this, man. 3 days of W's this weekend. Thanks to you guys. Let's go. Yeah, I'm hoping we can get some winners here. Again, Pesta Providence has been pretty profitable for anybody in here. Obviously, don't have all the numbers. I was on vacation. Usually would do all my numbers. But yeah, it's been good. I mean, we've been rolling with this for, I think we're, week 18 now of NFL stuff. And we missed 1 week or two in between there. But yeah, we've been pretty profitable. And I'm glad all you guys are popping in and being able to see this. Getting some big guests lined up for next week. So we'll talk about that in a little bit here. NBA props, Max Crosby over Max Crosby. Yeah, dude, the double X, definitely. That has to make you better, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
All right, yes, this is a yes. All of them are going to be one unit unless otherwise noted. I have 2 other plays on the show here that I do have a little higher comfortability with that we'll have those listed. we can just, I guess we could just pop in and we got a question here from William. What are we going to see from Mac? Wow, we're talking Max Crosby. Now I can't talk. Mac Jones pass attempts this week. It fluctuates so much. The thing is with Mac Jones is I'm really not a fan of the Patriots this week. I've been seeing a lot of people loving them as dogs, but I agree 100% that it was skewed from that wind game that we only saw what Josh Allen got 200 yards maybe. I think it looks more like the second game this year than it does the other way. So Mac Jones attempts might be the way to go, but man, it's tough to rely on something with Josh McDaniels at the helm. You really never know. The guy's kind of a tough guy to read for sure.
Yeah, we'll get into this more as we do get to that game, but I do think it's going to be tough for Mac Jones this week. That Bills defense is underrated, I think. Even though they are getting some good respect recently, it's an interesting spot. I'm not gonna be betting on Mac Jones this week, just to be clear, just to get that out of the way. But like you said, it's very unpredictable. But what I do imagine is going to happen is I think the Patriots are really going to do the best to run the ball, to establish that short yard running game, but also that short yard receiving game. So if I were to go anywhere, it would probably be completions over attempts, because I do really think they have Brandon Bolden back there. They have Kendrick Bourne, who's comfortable taking both handoffs and those short passes. Jonnu Smith has just as many carries as he does catches over the last 4 weeks since their bye week, actually. So a lot of stuff can happen. If I were to go anywhere with Jones, it'd probably be that completions, because I do think the short passing game is going to be huge in this game.
Yeah, he got a pretty high completion percentage. Obviously, I think he had like a 90% completion percentage in the first game, like what, 2 for 3 or 5 for 6 or something. So
yeah,
I think I would lean more on the completions over attempts as well. That would be more of my lean there. So love it, guys. Keep bringing the questions. We will get to every single one of them, I promise. And while we're there, we might as well just transition into the game. We got Patriots and Buffalo. We talked about it already a little bit here. I can pop on first here since we kind of talked about it. I really don't have a take on this game. I don't have a play in this game. I've been seeing the Josh Allen rushing yards getting hammered. I've seen a lot of guys on that. I like it. I would almost take rush attempts over yards there. That would be my lean, just because those yards have been hit pretty hard. I think that we're going to see Josh Allen late in this game if they have to ice it. Who would you rather have the ball in your hands, Josh Allen or Devin Singletary? In my opinion, it ain't even close. It's Josh Allen. Josh Allen gets the ball. If it comes down to that late game, ice the clock. This is a Josh Allen game. I don't know what the attempts line is at. If somebody could drop what that is right now, I would really, really, really appreciate it. Just because I think that Josh Allen, my opinion, I would take it up to like 8.5. I don't know what it is.
I think it's 7.5 right now. Yeah. That's my guess.
Yeah, I don't even know. I haven't looked, but that was one thing I put into my notes here is I would take it up to 8.5. I don't know what it's at. Even if it's a juice 7.5, I think I'd take it. But yeah, I really like Josh Allen rushing this week. I think that's going to be the most. Okay, thank you, Nick, and thank you, Jason. Started at 6.5, up to 7.5. We're seeing minus 150 on DK, minus 150. We have Jason. What site is this on here? We're seeing minus 130. If you could drop the sites too, that would be really nice. Just exactly how Jason did it here, because I would really like to take that. I would take it up to 8.5. So I think 7.5 is a good line. If you can get it under, obviously minus 150, I ain't dropping that much.
Yeah. My problem is it's really hard for me personally to see a prop open at 6.5 minus 140 and then take it at 7.5 minus 140. Like I know some other people don't have a problem with that, I guess, but it does hurt me. And yeah, I did see that prop bet guy was the one that initially bombed the line. He got that 6.5. I saw him tweet it out. I'm happy. A lot of people got on Josh Allen, so I'm happy for him. But I'm quarterback rushing in the playoffs in general. This is when you want it the most. This is when you're going to put your body on the line. It's not a hard sell for me at all.
Yeah, for sure. Let's roll here. Let's get to you. It looks like we do have a play for you in this game.
Yep. So I'm on Gabe Davis in two separate ways for this game. So the way I just went half a unit on each. But we're going to talk about, just for the show purposes, we'll talk about the longest reception, but I also am on his receiving yards. It's at 26 in a couple spots, I believe, on Barstool, and I even heard it opened at 25 on what was that, points bet. So if you have either of those, I would check those out. I do like Gabe Davis a lot this week, and I think if you maybe are in tune with the fantasy football space, maybe the dynasty space, you might have heard a lot of Gabriel Davis slander this week. A lot of people saying he couldn't actually surpass Emmanuel Sanders when he was there, and now Sanders is back. A lot of people are kind of doubting his long-term value on this team. Even he's kind of coming off a bad week. He had 14 targets last week. I believe he only had 3 or 4 catches.
Yep.
But we're passing by all of that because besides the fact that even if you don't think he necessarily has long-term, you want to say fantasy football value, I think he has great value in this specific game against the Patriots. When we look at what Gabriel Davis has done, first of all, he's gone over this receiving yards line in 6 straight games, which is great, 7 of his last 8. And then on the season, even when he had little to no role in the beginning of the season, when he was completely uninvolved, he still got over this line in 11 of 15 games on the year. That's even when he really wasn't involved in this offense. The Patriots side, Mills is going to be out for this game. That's a big miss for them. J.C. Jackson is going to be tasked with a lot of responsibility on the outside with Stephon Diggs. And if there's one thing we know about Bill Belichick, they want to take out that best player on the opposing team. I think it's going to be really hard for Stephon Diggs to do what he wants to do in this game. I think there's going to be a guy on him at the line of scrimmage shoving him. There's going to be a guy back in coverage waiting for him. It's going to be tough. Emmanuel Sanders is back. We know that Cole Beasley is there. But in the last 3 games that they all played together, he got there in 4 of the last 5 games they all played together. So even when the whole crew was there, even with all this criticism I'm hearing now that suddenly just because Emmanuel Sanders is back, that Gabriel Davis is going to be out of this offense, well, even when they all played together, he hit 4 of the last 5 games. So I'm feeling really good about Gabe Davis in this game. I think he plays 60% of snaps. I have him projected for over 4 targets in this game. And when he sees over 4 targets, he's over this line in 6 of 7 games on the year. I'm feeling great about Gabe Davis.
Yeah, and so one thing that is really good that you said was how Bill Belichick attacks teams, right, where they take away your best player. If they don't double team Stephon Diggs, he is ranked number 2, right behind Mr. Renfro in head-to-head matchups this week at 95% matchup advantage. So if they are dumb enough, which Belichick isn't, I would never say that about him, but if you go one-on-one with Diggs, he is cooking everybody you have. It does not matter. One-on-one, Diggs wins. Obviously, matchup advantage over 90%, something you're going to see quite often if you don't double him. Belichick's not that type of way. We've seen him with Kelsey, just eliminate him. We've seen him do it with all these other top receivers. So, yeah, I think that this is a great spot. Attacking the outside guys or the slot receivers in this one, I think is the way to go. That DFS portion is pretty much I would say either Davis or Beasley, because I think one of those guys is going to be the big one. I'm not a huge Sanders guy. Those middle weeks where he just went berserk doesn't really seem sustainable for me. So, I think this is a great spot. Everybody posting that PPG and Pop Stars, I had no idea, actually. Like I said, I don't have a bet on this. It's not a full play on here. Oh, it looks like he posted this morning. That's why. I was doing soccer this morning, guys, so I didn't see anybody post anything. But yeah, that would definitely be why these lines are moving the way they are. Jason said he got Davis at 25.5 before it popped up to 27.5 after you posted it. So
yeah, points.
That's why you follow, guys. That's why you take a look. That's why you got to make sure you follow us on Twitter. We have our links to our Twitter in the description of the video here. So make sure you guys go check us out over there. That's where we're going to post most of our free plays, right? We're only on stream here twice a week. So if you want action the rest of the weeks, the rest of the 5 other days, it's over there on Twitter for both of us. So make sure you go hit us in those descriptions there and see the rest of our plays there. Let's get it moving here. We actually are on to Philly and Tampa. Looks like we have somebody asking about Jalen Hurts, so we will talk about this right now. We'll get this going right now. So let's go Philly and Tampa. You got a lean on this one? What do you got for this one? What are you thinking, Monotone?
So I said at the beginning of the show, I got a -7 on Tampa on this when it opened, which
Very
is
nice.
phenomenal, right? I feel great about that. But at -8.5, it is a little bit harder for me with the weather conditions. If there were no weather conditions, what would this line be? Would it be 10, 10.5, 11?
Probably.
Right? Philly, here's the fundamental problem I have with this game. And I'm curious, I'm really worried that just nobody's gonna bet Philly, and this line just still hasn't moved, which kind of concerns me. But like, let's just think about this for a sec. What does Philly do well? And in fact, what is honestly maybe the only thing Philly does well? It's running the
Run the
ball,
ball.
right? That's like quite clearly been their thing this season. And as we all know that are here watching, Tampa Bay has had the best run stopping unit, not just this year, but really for the last 3 years in the NFL. Vita Vea is an absolute monster down there. They've an amazing run stopping core. It's just a really tough stylistic matchup for Philly in this game. I think Tampa does end up taking the game, and it's just about the weather, honestly, for me. I'm curious how much that plays in. I still think Tampa probably covers 8.5, and I think if you're playing a teaser this week, Tampa's going to be in every single teaser every single person has from 8.5 to 2.5. So maybe be careful there. It's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm actually a little bit more leaning towards the Eagles if this line gets a little higher. If I can get it at like 8 or 9, I'm going to be a little bit more onto that teaser where I can get it at like 15. So I'm
Yeah.
looking more at the teaser rate here. I'm more leaning towards the Eagles than I thought I was going to when I looked into it. Tampa's front seven is good, and I get that. But this year, they've given up double the amount of 100-yard rushers than they did last year. Last year, they were insane. Last year, that front seven didn't give up anything, like ever.
Yeah.
But we've seen it. Even your Washington football team, what, Gibson have 2 touchdowns on him earlier this season?
Yeah. And
Right.
yeah, you're right. Khalil Herbert had 100 yards earlier this year. Yeah. I agree. I've not been. I think even actually, you and me both played Jonathan Taylor against this Tampa team.
Yeah, 90 yards rushing, right?
Yep. So, it's not that I'm necessarily never going to go against Tampa's run defense. I think that's a very good point that has to be brought up because not enough people are talking about. Just because you have a good run defense doesn't mean you never get beat. I just think stylistically, Philly's like they're everything is on the run. It kind of a lot of this game I think is gonna have to do with how you view Jalen Hurts, and I think you and me might possibly view him in kind of a different way, which I think we're going to get into pretty soon.
Yep,
right here.
Right. Yeah, we're going to get into it in about a second here. I do expect the Eagles to lose. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Eagles money line. Don't think I'm saying that. I'm just saying that if I can get a 2 touchdown teaser with Philly in there, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that pretty easily here. So this is why I'm on what I'm on. I'll tell you my bet here in a second. If you watch that first game, Tampa played Philly in Philly. I think it was week 7, maybe week 8. Philly had the ball for 20 minutes of that game. That's it. Tampa had 40 minutes of possession in that game, but what they were doing was Antonio Brown short passes and Leonard Fournette up the middle. They had 22 carries for Leonard Fournette, 9 catches for Antonio Brown. Obviously, you were fully healthy with Godwin. We have a beat-up Mike Evans in this game as well. It's just, I think that Philly's going to actually have quite a bit more success than people are giving them. And the reason why I think that right here and why I'm going to be rolling with my guy, Jalen Hurts, over 253.5 passing, rushing, is for that exact reason. If Leonard Fournette comes back this week and runs the ball 25 times, I will do something crazy. I don't know what I'll do, but there's no way in hell he is going to come back after, what was it, a hamstring or a groin? That he's going to get 25 touches in this game, 25 carries. And that's what's going to set these guys apart. What are you going to run? Giovanni Bernard up the middle? Who are you going to run? Ronald Jones got hurt, I believe, at the end of last week.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Keyshawn Vaughn is there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't see them having that type of success on the ground that they had there. And the reason that I like this play is because there is no way if the possession time is equal that Jalen Hurts does not get to this number, in my opinion, because 20 minutes of possession, he only threw the ball 21 times in that game. Still had 44 rushing yards, so he got to his normal. That's about what his average is, about 40 rushing yards. I just really think that if it comes down to it, I have a lot of confidence here in a few of his receivers. I really like Dallas Goedert. I think Dallas Goedert's going to be The focal point of this offense in this game, Devontae Smith, has come along at the end of this season, obviously breaking their rookie record. I think passing 1,000 yards receiving there as well. But yeah, 46 yards per game for him on the ground. We're seeing two guys actually being able to move the ball, move the sticks with Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. And like you said, I think that they're going to do much better on the running backs, Tampa will, than if Jalen Hurts has a broken play running. Because I was saying this to you earlier, is Jalen Hurts, if you ever watched him, that man can't do more than 2 reads in a play. It's, oh, Goddard's covered. Oh, Smith's covered. I ain't throwing it to Quez Watkins. I'm running. That's kind of how it is. And I think his rush attempts is live. I think his rushing yards are live. But I'd rather go with both just in case Tampa does have one of those spy guys at middle linebacker trying to keep him in the pocket. I think he throws well. Only passed 200 passing yards in 6 games this season, which is kind of scary. But 3 of them, he crossed 300 yards in them. So, I mean, it's really a boom or bust type of game here. But I think Jalen Hurts is going to show out. I think this game gets a little bit closer than people are expecting.
Yeah, this is interesting, right? Because if I were to go anywhere, and I do like this play, but I do like it for a specific reason. Rush yards for me has really been on my mind for kind of all week. I feel like if the Eagles want to keep this game close, Hurts is going to have probably 70 rushing yards. I think in my head, in the way I view this game, and that's mostly because I'm on team Hurts is not a great quarterback. Just from everything I've seen this year, a good point you actually brought up to me before the show when we were just quickly running through this one is it's quite simple, actually. It's the fact that they haven't had to throw the ball recently. Hurts looks good on paper. The Eagles look great on paper. It's because they've beat up on bad teams for the last couple of weeks. They ended the season strong, but
Washington twice and the Giants, I believe, were the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. It was a lot of in division, kind of beating up on bad teams. So I do think that Hurts is going to have to throw the ball. I personally don't think he's going to be able to do it very well, but I think that will be complemented by his rushing upside. And I also do think I was even considering playing his to have an interception this game too. Mm-hmm. I think that's a very live if they are trailing. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think this will be not a very close game, but that's really good for your prop, right? The farther they fall behind, the more Hurts is going to have to change the game plan. The more they're going to have to shy away from the run game. The more Hurts is going to have to do his best to pass the ball.
Oh yeah, and this is the thing is garbage yards count for the exact same amount, even if it's a close game, man. Right? I don't care if they get down 21 as long as Hurts decides, hey, Tampa Bay side starts running the ball, Philly starts throwing it. And he starts getting those garbage yards. Jalen Hurts won me 2 fantasy games this year on just straight garbage yards at the end of the game, just running all over people. So I think this line is just a tad low. I was going to see this at like 260. That was where I was going to draw my line. So you're going to give me 7. I'll give it an extra half unit on it. 1.5 unit play. Jalen Hurts over 253 passing and rushing. And now we move on to probably the game of the week in most people's eyes, the 49ers at the Dallas Cowboys. Again, we will pop over to you, Monotone. What is your thoughts on this one? You got anything for the people here?
Yeah, man. This is going to be a great game, right? I'm real excited for this one. I like watching the Cowboys play. I like watching the 49ers play. So I'm very excited to see both these teams square off right here. I am team 49ers. I wrote about it a little bit earlier this week. I think the Niners win this game. I think the Niners cover this game. I think they move on to the next round. For me, I won't talk super long. You guys have heard me talk a lot today. I'll throw this back to you in a minute, but I think what it really comes down to is the Dallas defense's weakness is the 49ers' strength, and that's going to be running the ball right here. Last week, we saw the 49ers go down 17-0 to a high-flying offense in the Rams last week, and guess what happened? They came out in the second quarter and they ran the ball. They did not run away from their game plan. They doubled up on it, and it worked perfectly fine, and they came back and winning the game in 49ers style. I think Dallas, what they do best is generating a crazy amount of pressure on opposing quarterbacks, but it's going to be really hard to use Dexter Lawrence, use Minka Parsons in an effective way when Jimmy G is going to be dumping the ball off. handing the ball off, short pass, bubble screen, handoff, Debo reverse, Ayuk reverse. I mean, they're going to make it so hard for these extremely dominant defenders to actually make their presence felt in this game. I really think we're going to see a beautiful game from Kyle Shanahan right here, and I think the 49ers are going to win.
I love it. I love it. Let me pull up your play here, and we'll get right into it. Since you started off with that, let's get to your play here for today's game.
Yeah, so I was so fired up. I forgot I had a play in this game. I was so fired up with the 49ers side, but we will go back to the props. And it is a lot of what I was just saying. Last week, I was on the same props with Elijah Mitchell. I played his carries at 17.5, and I played his rushing yards it was a little lower. It was 69. It's up in the 70s this week. I'm running both of those back this week. And yeah, last week gave me all the confidence I needed. You got to understand when, PPS knows this, when we cap games, right? We're watching our props as the games are going. When you're down 17-0 and your guy has 20 rushing yards, you can X that off and move on. You can just go to another, maybe turn that game off. I don't want to see this anymore. The 49ers live and die by the run. They never go away from it. I really think last week was a perfect example. I keep bringing it up because it's what my mind immediately goes to. They were down 17-0 and they effectively ran the ball the whole second half, and it worked perfectly. Additionally, a huge piece of information not enough people are talking about. The 49ers are getting who might be the best offensive lineman in the league back in Trent Williams this week. I was going to say offensive player in the league, but that's a discussion for a different time. Trent Williams is an absolute beast, especially in the run game. Elijah Mitchell is going to be extremely happy to see him back there. The Cowboys run defense is nothing I'm scared of. It's going to be that pressure, that pass rush that really elevates this Cowboys defense. I'm excited. I think Elijah Mitchell goes over 100 yards in this game.
Yeah, we're looking at the number 2 ranked run block advantage in this one. San Francisco's going to have a 71% run block advantage here for Elijah Mitchell. And honestly, I think we hit both of these plays that we have. I'll get into my play in a second here. One that probably will surprise most people, but I like San Francisco's chances here. Like I said, 71% run block advantage. And how do you beat a good pass rush? You run it right up their face for about 4 straight plays, and then the play action comes. That's when you're going to start seeing explosive plays. One thing that I love to talk about in explosive plays, if you guys remember, if you came on past the prop week 1, what did I say about Mr. Debo Samuel? He is the best yards after catch guy in the league. I remember it 100%. And everybody, I said it. It was over 44 receiving yards in that game. Guess who put it as a 2 unit? I freaking hammered that shit because he is so much better. He is so good. 19% of Debo Samuel's touches result in an explosive play or 20-yard play. That is just absurd. Almost 1 in every 5 plays going to get me 20 yards. And this is the biggest thing for me, and the reason why I'm on this prop that I'm going to be talking about here in a second is San Francisco and Dallas both rank in the top 3 in yards per play. And so what that means to me is there's going to be a lot more chances for yards, a lot more chances for overs. As bettors and as prop guys, that's what we're looking for, right? Most of the time you're seeing us bet overs. But this is a guy I never bet the over on, but I'm going to him here. Jimmy G over 248.5 passing yards. The reason why I like this is because obviously you guys know I hate Jimmy G. I do. I really do. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but volume here is what's going to scream out to me. He's hit this number in 4 or 5. And he's only hit his over in pass attempts in 3 of those games. He doesn't need to throw the ball a lot to get to this number. Looking at this, San Francisco ranks number 1 in the NFL in yards per play. Obviously, that has a lot to do with Shanahan. And now you have Shanahan going head-to-head with Quinn, his old coach. He was the offensive coordinator in Atlanta. Quinn was the head coach of that team. And pretty much once he left, Quinn fell off the face of the planet as a coach because that offense was all they had. They couldn't stop anybody. So Dallas is actually sitting at 6 yards per play. San Francisco is at 6.1 yards, sitting in number 1 place here. The reason why I really like Jimmy G here, obviously it's a close spread. I love the running game of the Niners, but the play action games, it's going to be what's going to happen here. Jimmy G's longest pass yards or longest pass completion in this game is 38.5. I think he flies over that too. they're just such an explosive offense that if you try to sell out to stop the run, which I think they're going to have to, because I think Mitchell has a fantastic game, right? Exactly everything you were talking about. If that happens, they're going to have play action galore in this one. He's hit this, like I said, 4 of 5, over 9 yards of completion over his last 5 games. So he doesn't really need to throw that much to get here. We're sitting at Ayuk at 75% matchup advantage, Deebo Samuel at 78 matchup advantage. Kittle is the number 1 ranked tight end this week with a 91% offensive grade. He's going to go against, I don't remember his first name, but KZ is his last name, 42% matchup advantage there. I'm not betting this because of Jimmy G. I'm betting this because of this offense. I'm betting this because of the players around Jimmy G. I'm not betting it because I think he's a top 5 quarterback, top 10 quarterback. But if you give me a bubble screen, guess what? He threw the ball 5 yards. Deebo can get me 50. Kittle can get me 20 yards after the catch. Probably the best yards after the catch tight end in the league, right? So everything there, all I need him to do is put the ball at the target and let those guys do the work. I love Jimmy G over 248 this week. A play I never thought I would have, but we're here.
Yeah, and I mean, additionally, right, the Cowboys do play 33% cover 3, right, which is pretty high up there. And if anyone's seen cover 3 this year, it is actually the 49ers. They've seen the second most cover 3 in the NFL this year. And guess what? Jimmy G has the 6th best passer rating in the league against it. He has a mighty fine over 70% completion rating against it. Jimmy G is going to be real comfortable in this game. And while you say, he may not be quite the quarterback you like, I am on team Jimmy G. I do think he's an underrated quarterback in the grand scheme of things. I understand his physical limitations are quite notable. He's not, I wouldn't say he's a special player at all, but Jimmy G's ability to kind of run this offense, I think, is going to be really good here. And I do think he's going to take a couple shots. I think people may initially see our picks and then say these guys don't agree with each other here, but I really think you said it well that Elijah Mitchell does open up the play action game. And I really don't think Jimmy G needs very many more than 20 passing completions in this game to get there, just because of how dominant that team is. And there's going to be a lot of running. There's going to be a lot of 10-minute drives. There's going to be a lot of passes. This team's going to mix it up a lot and make it really hard for that Cowboys defense. And like you said, all it takes is Deebo breaking one play. That stat you gave in the beginning was insane with explosive plays. So, yeah, I like both of these right here. And the 49ers.
Thanks, Jason. I know you're heading out. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. That means a lot to us. But, yeah, I, in my opinion, I need your play to hit for mine to hit. Because if it's just Elijah Mitchell running up the middle – and they're not getting anything, play action becomes nothing, right? That's where Jimmy G is the most dominant, because guess how easy it is to go fake a handoff after he's gotten 3 5-yard carries, sell out, linebacker creeps up, Kittle over the middle, that's a free 20 yards. I mean, it's just free. It's like just handing it off pretty much, and you're getting 20. So I need Elijah Mitchell to do good just so we can get there. I'm looking like Elijah Mitchell over 19 carries is at plus 110 on DK. Good looks there. Plus 110 on DK at 19 and a half.
Yeah, I must have misspoke to you when I said it or before, because 110 is the best line out there right now. That's what you guys should hit.
Nicholas dropping a nice stat here on Tampa Bay, 29th in the NFL versus rushing between the tackles, giving up 5.2 yards per carry. That is probably extremely skewed from that Herbert game, because Khalil Herbert literally just diced those dudes. But yeah, I think that they're going to have a little bit more success than people are giving them credit for on the ground. One other thing from Nick too: do you think Deebo's total yards at 96.5 is too high?
So I was a big Deebo rush yards guy for those couple weeks. I think I'd rather just go receiving yards, honestly. I think that's a little bit inflated, because what you're counting on essentially is you're not counting on like a middling performance getting there. For Deebo to hit his rushing part of that, he's going to have a big play essentially, right? Because before he was getting 8 to 9 carries. Now I think we can expect 4 or 5. So what you're doing is when you have him at 4 or 5, if let's see, his receiving yards is, I believe, 64 right now. So that means you're essentially asking for an additional 33 rush yards to that number I just said. And I don't know if you want to count on him to get 33 rush yards on 5 attempts. That's a tough ask, So if it were just me, I would go with receiving yards That's my personal look right there.
No, I 100% agree. That's exactly what we talk about when we take like points, assists, points, rebounds, assists. Is you got to be able to have that option of blowing up on both sides, right? You having the ability to cover both by itself. I do think Debo has the ability to get 97 receiving yards in this game.
Yeah.
But would I rather take 96.5 here and him have 12 yards rushing? Or just take probably I'm guessing high 60s for receiving yards and just take that. I think that you said it perfectly there, and I think that's definitely the spot to go would be on the receiving side of that. So that was actually our last official play. We're going to go through our last two games here, talking about Pittsburgh at Kansas City. I have a little lean for DFS portion of it. I really think that Travis Kelce is going to be one of my tournament plays in most of my tournament lineups. The reason I say that is just because when I'm looking at these numbers here, Travis Kelce is going to be going up against Devin Bush. He has a 62% matchup advantage over Devin Bush here this week. That is absurd for tight end linebacker matchup. If they put Devin Bush on him, I think Kelce destroys it. I really don't know what I would go for as a prop. The reason why I'm just doing him in DFS is because of his high upside. Obviously, if they get up 14-21, no Edwards-Helaire like you told me a little bit earlier today. I think Kelce's that guy. I don't even know how I feel about Tyreek Hill anymore. He's such a boomer bust. But I really think that Kelce's going to have to be the number one in this one. I was leaning towards over 5.5 receptions, but the more and more I think about it, I think that's more of like me just wanting action on it, where I think I would just rather have him in my DFS lineups at the chance of him just scoring a touchdown, which he's done in 3 straight weeks.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, so I think if you're betting that or playing that, I think you want Tyreek Hill to play, which he probably will right here, but he is banged up. And if he just is out there, even as a decoy or even not as involved, that should be great for Kelce, because that means that bracket coverage will be a lot harder to implement on him when you have Tyreek Hill on the field. So yeah, I don't hate that play at all. This game is tough. I think if I had to pick a side, I know this sounds kind of crazy. I think I'll go Pittsburgh here with so many public, favorites this week. I think Pittsburgh, I'll keep going with the dogs. I'm on the Raiders. I am on the 49ers. I think I'll keep it going here. If I had to, I'm not necessarily, betting this one. I am a little bit worried about trusting Big Ben in his possibly final career game. But Pittsburgh does have a tendency to come back and cover games late. They really showed this against the Chargers on primetime. That was the biggest example most people will think of, where they stormed back in the fourth quarter and made it a game. I think they can probably cover 2 touchdowns right here. I'm not going to tease them because I do think there's a lot of variance in the outcomes where they could lose by 30 also. But something tells me we're not going to necessarily see Andy Reid open up the playbook for this game. I think this almost seems like another regular season game, and I think a cover can happen from that. I think the Chiefs will win still, but I think a cover can happen, and I'm trying to figure out some props to go to in this game. Juju Smith-Schuster being back is really weird. I totally forgot about him, honestly. Like, he's been so relevant since he went out with injury. I just read that he might be back this week, so I don't know.
Yeah, what I'm hoping for right now is just public money on the Chiefs. We're seeing 12.5 at even on both sides for Chiefs and Steelers. So if I can get that to 13.5, I'll probably have a play on the Steelers, just because we've seen what happens when Andy Reid gets to his second half Mike McCarthy playbook, like they did against the Bengals, where you can't tell me that Bengals defense is good. They're not good at all. And the Chiefs decided to not score one single point in the second half, or at least I think they made 1 field goal, I think. But Mahomes only had like 40 yards in that second half. That screams a backdoor cover. Vegas is going to lose all of their money on me betting on the Raiders winning, getting me that plus money, and they're going to give me my Niners plus money that everybody's going to be on the Chiefs covering. Guess what? Vegas gets their money back. They don't just take a hit, right? This is that game that everybody's going to be on one side and they're going to lose. That's kind of how this definitely screams in my head. Vegas has buildings built every single damn day, guys, and there's a reason. It's not because they lose. It's because you're giving them money and the public bets get hammered. I'm telling you right now, Pittsburgh's got to be the side. It's dog or pass here. That's all we're saying.
Yep. Yeah, you said it perfectly, right? Everyone's going to cash those Tampa Bay tickets, the other heavy favorite. And you know what they're going to go? They're going to go Chiefs, 12.5 against the Steelers. Steelers are terrible. That's free money. Let's put those Tampa Bay winnings on it and double up. And I think Pittsburgh is terrible. I don't want to get that. I don't want anyone to be confused. Big Ben is terrible. Pittsburgh is like legitimately not a playoff team. Like it's actually amazing that they ended up in the playoffs. Like you could have gotten a lot of money from me betting on them to make the playoffs. I would have given you great odds and you would have won. So congrats on that. But covering games is a completely different story right here. And like you said, too, this is going to be a super popular one. And we haven't really seen the line move at all. Vegas knows what they're doing. They know when to move those lines. They know if they keep it at 12.5, they're going to keep seeing that action come in. I think they feel good about their position. So it makes me feel good about their position, too.
One last thing on this game, one play that I was looking at a little bit more that's circled on my list, possible one I'll probably bet either tomorrow if I can get a little bit more movement on it, is the Chiefs' first half team total at 14.5. If it can fall to 14, I will be hammering that line. The reason why I say this is the Chiefs have been starting explosive lately. They've just been coming out, punching you square in the mouth. They put up 28 in the first half on the Bengals, right? They just go out, guns a-blazing, and then cool down. Where this could be a perfect double-up opportunity where I can live bet the Steelers at like plus 21 when they go down 14-0, cash my first half bet, they're up 17-3, and then I'll get that live plus money. Love taking it at like 21. So this is probably a live bet spread for me, but I like that first half team total. 14.5 is just screaming my name right now. I love it. I think that's going to be my only spot. I just have to see some of these props move down. So this is Cam's I believe he's a Bears fan here, talking about Matt Nagy. Thoughts? How long do you think it's before Trubisky gets a starting opportunity?
Well, what are the Nagy reports? What have I missed? Is something going on with Nagy?
I don't know. This is I think it's because he's a Bears fan. He's trying to make Trubisky sound better.
Hey, well, drop your Nagy reports. I want to see that. But honestly, I know this might sound weird. I think Trubisky is probably better than some of these other guys that are.
I agree.
Out here. Like Trubisky showed me enough under an absolutely horrendous situation. Listen, the draft pick was still like a mistake, right? We can all admit that one. He hasn't panned out. But there are a lot of guys starting that are significantly worse, like Mike Glennon. This guy's Jake Fromm is starting games. I don't even know what team Trubisky's on. I honestly have no clue.
Bills, he's their backup quarterback.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, he's probably one of the better backups out there.
All right, one hypothetical before we go to the last game. Would you start Mitch Trubisky or Daniel Jones?
I would start Daniel Jones, but I would start Mitch Trubisky over Ben Roethlisberger. I would do that. I thought that's where you were going at first, and I was ready to say, hell yeah, fire it up. But
no, I was just curious because Daniel Jones had been talking about possibly leaving. Like they're probably trying to cut ties there.
Yeah.
So, this is what it is. Mitch asked to meet with Nagy after 2019 to discuss issues in play calling. Nagy no-showed the meeting and brought in Foles.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's a mess. That's a whole mess, man.
Yeah. I'm surprised Nagy's honestly not beat up in Chicago. Like if people saw him walking to the locker room, I wouldn't be he is that bad of a coach.
He's spending the rest of his life in sunny California. He doesn't want to see any of these Bears fans anymore. He's not traveling back down anymore.
Yeah, no, dude. Nagy's pushing his limits, finding his way into Steve Nash category right there. So yeah. Steve Nash again fucks everybody over in every single bet. I bet you Steve Nash works for Vegas.
You think so?
I bet you he has like a percentage. Like he's damn near a bookie, I bet. That's what I'm thinking about Steve Nash.
Next season, it's going to cut to the Nets halftime show sponsored by, FanDuel. Steve Nash is coming out hosting it every day.
Dude, he's so trash, dude. Literally, I saw you tagged me in that with Prop Bomb. I'm like,
Yeah.
thank God. I'm like, this is exactly what I said about Mike McCarthy. Now people are agreeing with me finally after 4 years, right? They're finally starting to see it because it's going to the spotlight. But,
Yeah.
and
Well,
now
it's
when people
funny.
start putting all the money on it.
Yeah, because people send me some of those prop bomb posts. People will send me them and be like, "What do you think? Like, give me your take."
Yep.
And I was like, Sharp. I was like, "Well, the guy's a good rebounder. We saw that in his college career. He's only a rookie, so his minutes are going to be super unpredictable. But I would probably lean the over right here." And I checked the box score and all the starters who are random guys, right? Because this is the lineup without all the stars. Yeah,
Bembry found the starting lineup.
Exactly. All those guys are playing like 36 minutes, and Sharp's at like 18 minutes. And I was like, yeah, you guys all just got Steve Nash. I'll have to tag PPS right here and let him know that this is still happening,
Oh, it's a travesty, man. Just bad. All right, done with Steve Nash. I hate him. Everybody knows I hate him. Let's get to the last game of the week. We have the Arizona Cardinals at I almost said St. Louis Rams, but we're in LA Rams. We're going to be played in LA here. I know we both don't have official plays, but do you have a take on a side? Do you have any leans? Is there some news you're waiting for? Anything that's sticking out to you?
This game is tough. I think this is the toughest game of the week right here, to be quite honest. But so I looked at Kyler rushing yards. I had a pretty good discussion in my Discord this morning with a couple people about that. I've been looking at it real close these last couple of weeks, and while the volume has not been great, right? I'd hope he would be getting 7, 8, 9 rush attempts. He's normally really at only the 4 mark. And that could be lingering issues with injury. And it also just seems to be his mindset. I think he wants to be a pocket passer, not a running back, possibly because he gets hit so much when he runs. Unlike other really elusive guys like Lamar Jackson, who seemingly been able to dodge some of those big hits. It seems like Kyler kind of wants to, just by reading what he says, right? I don't think I'm a psychologist. I don't think I can get into the heads of these NBA players, but just reading through his press conferences, it really does seem like he's very focused on establishing himself as a pocket passer. But I do kind of want to see Kyler run. If I had to bet this game right now, which I still haven't taken a side yet, I think I would go with the Cardinals. It's tough, but McVay, over these last couple of years, man, he sees such drastic regression in the second half of the seasons. It happens every year, whether you want to say people are figuring him out or not. I don't really, dive deep into that kind of stuff, but it's kind of hard to ignore. And Stafford, he's been good, but I don't know, like last week was really bad, right? They should have won that game. They're up 17-0. Cooper Kupp is like exceptional out there. I think it's going to be really hard for them to run the ball. It's tough. It's really tough. With JJ Watt coming back, that's interesting, right? I think this Cardinals team, got worse when JJ Watt left because they couldn't stop the run anymore. Now that they have this big dude back in the trenches, it opens up a lot more edge rushing possibilities. I'd have to take the Cardinals if I were to bet this right now.
Okay, I'm gonna probably lean Rams. Only reason is just because of this defense, man. That's the only reason. I don't trust Stafford at all. I don't think that I'm going to be pushing that, or that the offense is any reason to write home about in this game. But Cooper Kupp, number 3, matchup advantage this week, behind the two guys we mentioned earlier, and Stephon Diggs and Mr. Renfro. But when I look at the front line here, we're looking at Arizona minus 26% run block, minus 55% pass block. All right, so now we have no D-Hop yet. Jalen Ramsey's probably getting, Kirk, which is just an absolute mismatch. I mean, I just don't know where this offense is going to get anything. If the reason why I'm thinking that you're right, leaning the Kyler way, is he's going to have to do everything now. Everything on this offense is going to have to run through him. One play I was looking at a little bit, I don't really know what the line's at anymore. I looked at this on Wednesday. But looking at possible Chase Edmonds receptions, just because he's going to be blown up in the pocket. Kyler is going to be running for his life. It's just going to be like that little meme that you saw with Kyler holding the football and he looks like a mini bobblehead. That's what he's going to look like, but just running like this. He's not going to be able to get set anywhere. The dump downs are going to have to be there. If someone can drop a Chase Edmonds reception line, please let me know. I haven't looked at it in 2 days, but that was one that did stand out to me. when I did see how bad of a pass block advantage is going to be here. I lean Rams. I actually like their covering here. I think that we're going to start seeing a little bit more Arizona money for the exact reason you talked about. J.J. Watt, big name, stuff like that. So if I can get Rams at 4 or even 3.5, I think I'll probably take it. Possible parlay piece of their money line might be something that I look at. But nothing that is screaming my name on the prop market besides possibly that's Chase Edmonds' reception line.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find the odds right now on DraftKings because one of the first things I hit this week actually was the long shot, and it was Kyler Murray to have the most passing yards out of anyone in the wild card weekend. And I got some really good odds on it. I'm trying to see what it is right now. But I actually think I agree with a lot of what you said about the Rams. I think what it comes down to is who can have a ceiling game, who is most likely to have a ceiling game. I think when Kyler is on, I think Kyler's probably one of the top 5 best players in the NFL at his ceiling. It's so high. He can do so many things both on the run, under pressure, fit these balls into these tough corners. Not having DeAndre Hopkins is tough, man. He's going to have to do a lot like in this game, which is why I like his rushing yards. But yeah, it's a tough spot. I understand the Rams pick. I'm not really going to fight you super hard, but I do think that Kyler could really show a ceiling in this game too.
Only guy I really like in this game for a ceiling game because Jalen Ramsey's going to take away Kirk. If Hopkins is there, I like Hopkins to just be a decoy, do nothing, and
He's
just get
not.
Kirk.
I don't even think he's going to be. I don't think.
No, I know. I don't think he's playing, but like if he was, you take that off of Kirk, you're getting a much better matchup for Kirk. But what I like, the guy I like a lot, is going to be Zach Ertz in this one. That's the safety blanket. I think he might push top reception guy of the week because he is by far their number one. His targets have been just blowing through the roof since Hopkins has gone out. I would like to see what that is. I don't know if that's even a line. I've never bet on something like that, but most receptions in a week, I bet you Zach Ertz should be up there. He will be a DFS play of mine. Going to be a very contrarian this week and possibly running 2 tight ends with Kelsey Ertz. I think that might be a way to make myself different where I'll probably be pretty chalky on running backs, which is bound to happen when there's only 6 games.
Yeah, so I'm looking on DraftKings right now, and I'm like, this one sounds real good actually right here. How about Kyler Murray to combine for over 299 passing yards and rushing yards? It pays plus 425. Oof. Isn't that insane? I wonder what the limit on this one is. Maybe it's only 50 or
$50.
But at 425, that is worth $50. I mean, that's not too far away from what his regular line is, I'm sure. So just something to toss out there in this game that I think you'll see more people, more like lines come available, more people on this game as we get past Sunday. You know, I think this is the last game, so I think it might just need a little bit more time to develop. But there's some solid spots for sure.
My guy Cam says I have a Ram Super Bowl future. At what point do I hedge, or do I just ride it?
Yeah, it really depends on your strategy there, man. You know, different people have different bankrolls. If you have a larger bankroll, I would be more inclined to tell you to let it ride. If you have a smaller bankroll and you're kind of penny pinching a little bit more, it might not be a bad time to hedge a little bit in the first round because they might not even make it out of wild card weekend. It's interesting. It depends. It really depends on your circumstances a lot, which you can DM me or PPS if you want more individual advice.
Yeah, no, I would probably. I think that like I said, I think they win. I would hedge right. I would send it hedge right after. Because I do not think they're gonna make it that far. McVay just hasn't looked the same lately. That offense just looks kind of. All right, how about AJ Green, longest reception, 13 of 16 on the season, hit this in his last 5. Again, AJ Green's probably getting Jalen, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine Jalen plays a lot in the slot, so I think Kirk was probably a good.
I thought Kirk, but I don't know.
I think he plays a lot in the slot, which is where Kirk is the best at. I think Green will probably play on the outside more and avoid Ramsey. I think longest reception is a good spot. I'm warning you for anyone that bets this prop. He's going to get like 5 opportunities, and he still isn't like over at a 60% chance to hit it. Like every game, he gets like 5 chances, and like half of them are just like complete flops. So I don't know. I think it depends on how you think this game's going to go. If you think they're trailing, then it might be a great spot. So, oh, thank you. Okay, Tim just caught. I flubbed that part. I missed the. Let me look back up.
That would definitely move it up
Yeah,
because what are they?
that freaking explains. Okay, well, I mean, I like the Cardinals, so I'm still gonna probably put the 50 on it. Honestly, I think 425 is good enough for me, especially because I do think the Cardinals will win. But that makes it more fair. That's why.
Yeah, that extra plus 150 will definitely move that line up.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're to our favorite part of the show. We're going with our touchdown parlay. Even though it's wild card weekend, we'll still bring it out for you guys. Total of 5 plays here. Let's run through those quick. We'll run through a quick recap and then get to our last ones. I'll run through mine first. I'm rolling with Hunter Renfrow over 55 receiving yards, minus 110. That's a 1 unit for me. I'm going to roll Hurts 1.5, passing and rushing over 253.5. And Jimmy G over, yes, it is over. Read it. It does say over, not under. 248.5 passing yards, 1.5 unit play for me. And then we'll get to monotones here.
Yep, so I went with Gabriel Davis. We brought back the longest reception. We were on a heater earlier in the year. I took a little bit of break from this kind of prop, I guess, but we're back with it over 15.5 yards.
Beautiful. And
then Elijah Mitchell, like I said, he's going to have a great game. Play him in DFS. Get him everywhere you can. Over 19.5 carries.
Perfect. Let's get to it now, guys. We are going to roll with our touchdown parlay. Big odds here, plus 626. Monotone, start us off.
Yeah, man. So my side of this one is going to be Damian Harris, right? This is a lower expected team total game, which is understandable. But we all know what this Patriots team is going to do. They're going to run the ball. And I'd honestly probably be on every single one of Harris's props if it wasn't for freaking Brandon Bolden and Ramondre Stevenson both having big roles in this team. But what we've noticed is once this team gets to the red zone, it's all Damian Harris time. I mean, those Bolden's out there to catch passes. Stevenson is a good he's not even necessarily a change of pace back. He's very similar to Harris, actually. But Damian Harris is ranked PFF's top running back in the NFL for a reason. I'm not sure I agree with that necessarily, but there are a lot of reasons to like him. In 2 games against the Bills earlier in the year, he hit this in both of them. He had 3 touchdowns in one of them and 1 in another. I think they're going to be very committed to the ground game all game long, and we've seen him. His red zone opportunities are through the roof. He had 4 last week in a game that really didn't matter that much, and he outsnapped both other running backs in the red zone pretty handily. He came back to bell cow responsibilities last week. I think we see him as the primary red zone back. Give me Damian Harris to get in the end zone.
Yeah, mine's going to be Jalen Hurts, giving me almost 2.5 to 1 odds to have him in the end zone. This is the craziest stat I think I've read of the week is Jalen Hurts has 10 rushing touchdowns this week or this year. How many games do you think he's actually scored a touchdown in?
Wait, say the first part again. Let me hear that.
He's had 10 rushing touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
How many games do you think those are spread out between?
I mean 14, 15. I don't know. What am I?
No. What I mean by that is kind of worded it wrong. Is Jalen Hurts has scored 10 rushing touchdowns, but he has only scored a touchdown in 5 games.
Oh, okay, I see.
Scored a touchdown in 5 games this year. So that means he is scoring multiple touchdowns in 4 of those 5 games. Jalen Hurts dropped 2 touchdowns on this team earlier in the season, 10 rushing attempts in that game. I will be playing Jalen Hurts 2 touchdowns this week because this is really their only option. We talked about it earlier. They're not going to be running up the middle on these guys. Vita Vea is back. Jalen Hurts, like I said, I might just take a sprinkle of Jalen Hurts, 100 rushing yards and a touchdown. That might be where it's at because it's going to be – I'm pretty heavy on the rushing side. I think that's where he's going to have to do most of his work. But, yeah, he's had a 3-touchdown game. He's had 2-touchdown game against Washington, 2-touchdown game against Tampa, 2-touchdown game against Carolina, and a 1-touchdown game against San Francisco. So sprinkle that 2-touchdown, sprinkle that 100 yards and a touchdown. I think those odds would be insane for this week.
We talked about it earlier. I'm in on that 100 yards and a touchdown. We might have to work that one out too. Do you also want me to give my other touchdown I told you about before the show too?
Yeah, you drop it.
Yeah, it's in the same game, and this one's a little bit risky, but I did want to let you guys know that I was on board. It's going to be Cameron Brate to score a touchdown at plus 425. He actually does have a touchdown in the last couple weeks. He has been out there running, getting routes, running routes, getting snaps. And yeah, pretty much what we're targeting right here is the matchup. Philly is atrocious against the tight end. Everybody knows it. I opened up my Twitter. All these big accounts are talking about how Gronk is going to have a monster week. Well, Cameron Brate is there too. And while I'm not necessarily saying he's going to have a monster week, what he is a consistent red zone threat, because Gronkowski is like the most notable, maybe the best tight end of all time. There's going to be a guy on Gronkowski in the end zone. There's going to be two guys on Gronkowski. There might be three guys on Gronkowski in the red zone. Not so much with Cameron Brate. I really do think he can fly under the radar. I believe the Philadelphia Eagles have given up 14 touchdowns to tight ends on the season. I believe that's the number I read. I think Cameron Brate can get one of them, despite the fact that the whole world is going to be on his more notable tight end partner, Rob Gronkowski.
Perfect. I like all the odds. Big plus money.
Yeah.
Before we head out, looks like we have one question. Is that Kyler special on FanDuel, or is it DK specific?
I mean, DK was showing me so many freaking specials when I was trying to find mine, so I just kind of caught that on the way. I haven't checked FanDuel, but I can check. There's a playoff specials card right now. Okay, most passing yards. This might have been the one I was looking at earlier. Yeah, it's okay. Kyler's 20-1. Oh, that's most playoff though. I was looking at wild card week. Yeah, I don't see this one on FanDuel right now, but I can do some looking after the show and try to find you that one if you want. But I'm not sure if it's on FanDuel or not, to be honest.
Perfect. Well, looks like we don't have any other questions in here, guys. Like I said, we ran through our recap. Everything should be there, ready to roll. Yeah, I'm very excited for this weekend. 5 plays out, plus our touchdown parlay. A lot of sides given, quite a few leans out there too. So a lot of action to be had for you guys. Anything else you want to say to the people, Mr. Monotone, before we head out of this wildcard weekend?
Yeah, man, this was a great show. I think us just talking, honestly, has made me think about a couple things differently. Like, make sure you're following both me and PPS here on Twitter, because maybe I get on maybe us talking is convinced to be enough on Jalen Hurts this week. It might have, I might be in on it now. So a lot of us are still going to have plenty of things. We've got plenty of great announcements coming up for next week's shows. We've already booked some great guests for that. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped for that. I think we got some winners here, and I think we're gonna get some more out too.
Yeah, next week's gonna be great. That was kind of what I was going to use as our segue out of here. 2 guests that we're looking forward to. One of them, no, I don't think we've ever had either one of these guys on the show. So nope. 2 new guys, 2 new faces for you guys to see on here. 2 pretty big guys in the prop community. I'm excited for that next week. We'll leave you guys hanging there. Probably drop who it is on Wednesday morning for our NBA show. What is it? I tried to do this last time. 96 hours, maybe 4 days, 96 hour. Wait until our next show. Try to do it in my math. I'm a lot better at parlay calculating than I am about day calculating. So I'm thinking around 96 hours till our next show, guys. Looking forward to this one. It should be a banger on Wednesday. Going back, hopefully profitable on this one. So we're going with back-to-back profitable shows this week, heading into our NBA show next week. So thank you guys. Remember, drop a like if you got anything from our content. We're looking forward to cashing some more tickets with you guys. So have a good one. We will see you on Wednesday. Peace.